to add some feedback as well. Feedback is quite mixed as usual. So we have some feedback we should do shorter. We have some feedback we should do longer. Most feedback was really interesting for us to adjust as well as to learn from it. Thank you for much. Always continue. The more information you give us, the better we can fine tune. Some people enjoyed the breakaway sessions very much. We should have more and longer breakaways. We should give more feedback on the breakaway group. This is quite difficult. We can't be in all the groups. Maybe we have to be a little bit more precise in the breakaway task to actually really share with you guys what is happening there. I just need to change my screen, but that's okay. Many of you probably have seen I sent a link to the group for day 1 and day 2. We set up a page. And we have to agree here on something. I quoted names. I wasn't really comfortable with this, but this is a closed group. So Amy was quoted and Ame. Are you fine with this, or shall I remove the names? I don't know if you saw this. We added some quotes. Please tell us if you don't feel comfortable. We take the names out. I am doing this as fast as possible, as soon as after the class, but I can't promise that it's always that fast. What I found very cool is that we added also the notebook. Bryan created a notebook link so that you actually can ask direct questions in regards to this day. If you have questions, for example, Raphael's questions, what do you mean with noise? Maybe just ask this directly into this notebook as well and see what comes out. It is really cool. I played with it a little bit around. We set up 9 different notebook, how can you say, sequences or models or landing pages, and we add this to each page. So for each page, for day 1, day 2, and so on, you just go in there, ask the questions where you need more clarity. All the information is behind this task in this notebook. Just ask any question, and then we get there. Did anyone listen or look at this page already?
Okay, let's get started here. So we're on time here.
Good.
Jay, I'm going to ask you a favor.
Yep.
Because the document I want to share is behind the screen here. Can you go into the PowerPoint presentation and copy the links for everybody today? So basically, here are the links. Cool new course information, the slides today, and a GPT for the group work and the follow-up. So that should arrive in just a minute when Jay gets it in there.
Into the group on ChatGPT, on
Put it
WhatsApp.
put it in the group on WhatsApp and put it in this group as well.
Okay, good. I'll see. Yep. Is it in Canva or in the new slides?
It's in the new slides here.
Okay, good. I'll find it.
Okay, cool. So we've got a counterintuitive start today. The start is about how you can use your ears to be heard by others. Do you think that's possible? I hope at the end you will agree with me. So, in the end, the goal of most of our communication is buy-in and connection. If you really want buy-in, you got to reach people's hearts. Clarity is something which is intellectual. Buy-in is something that you feel in your gut. And buy-in, physiological buy-in, begins before you start talking. Now, I think what happens too often is we go to meetings and we go to meetings in what I'll call debate mode. And the debate mode is I'm arriving, I got something to say, and I'm going to be there. The influence mode, actually, you come in with your ears open and you're ready to have a conversation and interact with people. There's a quote here from Stephen Covey. I don't know if any of you know him. He said, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. And what you see is we have a process which we go talk to win, but there's a much better process, which is listen to understand and then to influence. Now I'm going to show you a video. The guy's here, his name is Graham Greene. It's 30 seconds long, and I want you to tell me if you see any of yourself in this. And hold on a second, I have to share my sound. Boo. Share sound. Sorry about this. So it's good. Okay, here we go.
The number one principle is to stop thinking of yourself. When you find yourself in a moment where you want influence, when you want to persuade something, whether it's your boss, your child, your spouse, your first reaction is my needs, what I want, who I am. If you can train yourself, and it takes time, to stop that and to think of them and to put yourself in their position, to think of their psychology and of how they think about themselves, you've already come an incredibly long way towards having the ability to persuade them.
Does anybody feel themselves there at all? Asma, you're good. You were saying no. I could see it in your body language. Nope. But that's a female thing. Females actually listen better than men in general. But I did see some women shaking their head. And the challenge that comes up is if you really, really, really want to be heard, you have to listen first. Now, there's a program in the US called the Lake Wabagon Days where everybody's above average. Everybody drives better than average. Everybody listens better than average. And the reality is we all think we're pretty good listeners. And I'm willing to bet there's a big gap between how well you listen and how well people think you listen. And there's a huge myth that comes out, and this is critically important. We think if we want to convince people, what we need to do is we need to have the golden tongue. We need to speak well. But in fact, you need to have a receptive audience. You have to listen first and then speak well. When you walk into a meeting, when you walk into a presentation, there's something called thin slicing go on. I just read a study today, because actually I'm picking this up. Do you know how long it takes people to evaluate you in terms of your nervousness on the stage?
30 seconds.
No, it's 1/10 of the time it takes you to blink your eye. So what we have is these immediate aspects where we actually thin slice, we get information quickly. And what's happening when you start a talk, there's about 5 minutes that you have before people are going to decide whether they keep their ears open or they shut their ears down. The first minute is, are they safe with you? If you're really nervous and really anxious, your audience doesn't feel safe with you. You don't feel safe with your audience either, so you're both there. The second thing that comes out about 3 minutes in, they're going to say, look, is this person credible? Do they have any expertise? And about 5 minutes in, they're going to be saying, do they feel heard by you? Are you focused on them? Because if they're not focused on them, something's going to happen. And that thing that's going to happen is they feel a threat. They say, this guy isn't listening to me, therefore I'm going to shut down. And now you can talk as long as you want. You can have the most beautiful arguments, but the door is shut. If they feel safe, if they feel comfortable with you, they're open with you. And that's the point. They have an opportunity to explain what you want. Now, what we think is we think authority is about dominance. But in fact, one of the things I've seen with CEOs is they're oftentimes the very best listeners in the room. They're the people who really open their ears. Authority is about understanding. Authority is about pulling people together. And you have to realize you can win the argument, you can make your point, but still not get what you want. Now, within this, there's a second part of things going on. This is sort of the unconscious bit. There's a series of nonverbal cues, which is about our posture. Am I standing there like this, or am I starting like this? my eye gesture, and it's really hard on Zoom because I don't know how you check somebody on Zoom. There's also the question of vocal mirroring, which is the tone and the tempo. And what they've shown that it actually determined 30% of the results in a typical negotiation setting. But now I want to give you the acid test. I'm working with Jay. I'll call him my boss today. Jay says, Bryan, I'm really upset. You are just a blazing idiot. I can't believe the stuff that you delivered to me today. It's just not good enough. What is my initial reaction? I can guarantee you my initial reaction is to defend myself. What happens when I defend myself? I fuel the flames. I boost things up. I close off the room. There is a solution, and that is active listening. The reason why is you need to do two things. First of all, you need to be in a situation where I really understand what he's saying. Maybe I was an idiot. Maybe I did something wrong. Equally important, if he's frustrated and irritated, he has to feel he's understood. Because now we can talk together. And that's something really hard to do. So there's three ways to do this. If you're talking to a real person, one is vocal alignment. If he's excited, I match his excitement. If he's down, I match his down. Paraphrasing and elaboration questions, and I'll come to each of these. The first, which is vocal alignment. And here there's a myth out there that you should just be mirroring what somebody's doing. That doesn't work because people find it really weird. If every time they sit up, you sit up, every time they move to the left, you move to the left, they start feeling, wow, this is really freaky. But there is something, which is like in music, there's a question of harmony. What you're looking for is a certain agreement between the styles in which you're talking, so things feel right together. So if they're playing jazz and you're playing rock, it's not going to go together. But if you're both playing jazz, things fit together. The second opportunity is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is coming to somebody and say, look, if I understand correctly, this is what you're talking about. This is what I understand. Is that right? Now comes the hard part, because the natural reaction, okay, I've understood what you're saying, but frankly, you're an idiot, and here's the reasons why. No, in fact, what you have to do is you have to take a breather, stop from pushing back, and you actually have to go a bit deeper and actually elaborate. I understand what you're saying. I understand that we're late, and this is the impact. Now, what happens here is this listening creates influence, a space for you to be heard. When you paraphrase, people think you're competent because, of course, they said something incredible. And when you repeat it back, they think you're equally incredible. When you ask follow-up questions, you show you're cooperative. When you reflect emotion, you show that you're trustworthy. And that leads to a place for leadership and influence. So what we've got for today is we have some work that you're going to do in groups. We're going to do it in groups of 2 again. Hopefully you don't get the same people as yesterday. Maybe what we should do is set these groups up in advance. And what we're going to work on is the question of paraphrasing and elaborating. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. And I'm not going to read this because if I read this, it's going to be too much time. Basically, you've got a case study, and that case study is a context and a reaction. And what we're looking at is somehow you paraphrase back. You say, so in this case, you're a marketing person, the CEO says, look, I just don't get it. You come back and say, oh, this is what I'm understanding. And then you have a second level, which is elaborating, which is saying, look, I understand what this means. So, Jay, do we have the links in both the groups here in Zoom and in chat?
I think you copied the wrong link in. I changed it now to the Speaker Bureau website. It was on shared documents or Google that you had in.
No, actually, what I need is a link. Let me see what.
ChatGPT link is in as well. So if you go now to the Zoom, I've changed now the cool new tool information with the password to the website and not to our Google shared documents, which was in before. The ChatGPT is below. The last link is what Bryan is referring to. So just use this one for now for the task.
Okay, so, oh shit, I've been doing this whole thing without sharing my screen. Is that right?
No, you did share the screen.
Ah,
Screen.
I
See your
the
screen.
Okay, kind of a bummer because I worked hard on the slides. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to split off into little groups again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
people
people,
now?
7 people. So we're going to split off into 3 groups. One of you is going to have a group of 3 people. Okay. And what I'm going to want you to do in that group is we're going to do a 2-stage process. One is you open the link. Can all of you see that you have that link available? So it's a ChatGPT link. Okay.
It's the last link in the chat or in the Zoom chat.
Okay. So the first thing I'd like you to do is imagine you're in that context. What is your normal reply? Okay. How do you normally react to this? And then what I'd like you to do is, as a group, try to look at the question of how you would answer this in a reflective manner. How would you paraphrase and elaborate? And what's going to be cool, if the GPT works like it's supposed to, it's actually going to even give you a score whether you did it well or not. So we're going to have 6 minutes here, and we will create 4 different groups, and we're off to the races. Does anybody have any questions about what we want to do here? Andreas?
Bryan, I don't see the link. Is it in the WhatsApp chat or in the
It's in
Zoom chat?
It's in the Zoom chat and the
It's
WhatsApp.
both.
Yep.
I don't see it in the Zoom chat. So it must be in the WhatsApp.
Both.
So it is the last link in the chat right now. Okay. So,
Okay.
all right.
It's
Candice,
just
Okay, I see it.
Candice, you have a question.
Hey, Brian, thanks. I just wanted to make sure that I understand. So I've opened the link for the chat GPT. It's just opened a landing page. Are we feeding it a copy of the case, or what do we need to do with it?
So let me show you on my screen here.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Open. Let's see. All right. So you will get to a page that looks like this one over here. And I hope it's not blank. Okay. So you'll get this page. You choose, give me a difficult executive meeting. Remind me later. Give me a team conflict. Give me a customer conflict. And what it will do is each time it will make a new scenario. So you have a context, a situation, and what I'd like you to do in your group is to imagine how you would react to this typically. And then we'll try a second version as a group where you actually paraphrase and you elaborate and see if that's a bit different. Does that make sense, Candice?
Absolutely. I think if you open it on mobile, it doesn't bring up the options. So it must be opened on a web page, it seems.
Okay. So
Yeah, I couldn't see it and I'm on mobile.
Okay, so somebody in your group will have it there. So normally what we should have is, and everybody can share their screen, so you can share the things in the groups. So we create 4 groups, 6 minutes, we're back, and we're going to try and stick for 30 minutes. We'll see what we can do. So go ahead, Andreas. Raphael.
Yeah, another question here, Brian. So at my end, at least I see 3 options. What you said before, give me a difficult executive meeting, give me a team conflict case study, and then give me a customer complaint business scenario. Do we have to do all 3 or we choose one of the 3?
Choose one of the 3.
Okay, thank you.
And that will be your case. All right. And it will make a new one for you. Okay, here we go. Off to 4 groups. And I will try my best to keep us on time. So here we go. Candice, thank you for asking the question.
If you want.
Yeah. Hi, Brian. I actually have to drop off because I've got another meeting. I was just telling Asma now. I've got to go now.
Okay, so I'll do this with you, Asma. I will be in the meeting with you and I will be your partner.
Thank
Okay,
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Good evening, Yasleen.
Okay. So can you share your screen if that's okay?
Yeah. Okay. My screen. Tac. True. Where I am. Okay. Partager l'écran.
It's hard to do this quick. Okay, so we got a case study.
Yeah. I
You
click on
are
the first case study.
okay, so you are Chief Strategy Officer, presented a 3-year expansion plan to the executive committee. It just came back. Your CFO leans forward. He says, Asma, I'm struggling with this. We're talking about committing a huge amount of capital when our margins are already under pressure. I get the growth is stalled, but this feels like we're betting the company on projections that assume everything goes right. Frankly, I'm nervous. We worked hard to stabilize cash flow, blah, 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 blah. How would you typically react to this?
Well,
Just in words. Just in words, how would you typically react?
how I can, in fact, the I should say how I, as what, as the chief strategy officer, or
You're the chief strategy officer. The CFO says, look, you know what? Don't get it.
okay. So,
My bet is you'd
yeah,
probably argue it's not that big amount of money. It's really an important investment. We've been
yeah.
thinking a lot about it.
I think it's about not. It's about the investment. Let's just low margins and
So what I'd like you to try to do, and I'm going to go to another group, is try to play this by yourself.
yeah.
Is try to play back what he's saying.
Okay.
Okay, so effectively, what's going to ask you to do is to say, what do you understand?
Mm-mm.
And then to elaborate and see how that feels as far as
Okay.
dealing with this. Okay, I'm going to
Okay.
leave this. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay.